All right, folks, welcome back to coverage of SCG Columbus, brought to you by Anurag Das and also our sponsors who you can see there down the bottom. I'm Dom Harvey. I'm here with Tim Schultz, and we are here to take you through the remaining rounds of Modern today, rounds 5 through 8. And we have a rather interesting, I think somewhat unconventional pair of decks about to join us on the table here.
Yeah, Dom, thank you for kicking us off. It looks like we're going to have Izzet Murktide versus John Sagavan. Izzet Murktide a fun deck for me to watch coming from Legacy, seeing a lot of cards that are no longer legal in Legacy. So, Izzet Control, maybe not Izzet Murktide. Interesting.
Yeah, Izzet Murktide is something we've seen in basically every tournament as the most popular deck since the release of MH2. Izzet Control is something a little more old school and actually brought back by a few new cards, bringing some new life into it. So Rafa Tapper, your Hall of Famer control expert, has been giving hope to his people everywhere with some of these Snapcaster Mage, Flame of Renor decks that he's been playing in the challenges recently. So we'll see if Wade Bernhardt here on the right is following that direction.
That sounds good. You have to possess one of these two players to take over in their seat. Which deck do you pick up? Izzet or Jund?
Hard to know before we see exactly what Wade is up to here. I think the Jund deck, on balance, is favored here, especially these Ursa Saga builds where that card is phenomenal against any kind of reactive deck, and then you have a lot of cheap cards, cheap disruption, helping you to apply pressure, tie the room together there. But Dwo Yang here on the left, I think we saw them previously with, is this the fully foiled out John Sagavan deck?
I believe so. No serialized numbers to Will's chagrin, but...
Well, yeah, there we see foil Ravnica Overgrown Tomb leading into foil Time Spiral Remastered Thoughtseize. So just a few $100 there on the table already here on turn one. And that Thoughtseize is going to see Snapcaster Mage, Expressive Iteration, looks like Subtlety, and creating my head to see Archmage's Charm, I believe, there on the right. So again, none of the trademark cards from that Rafa Tapper deck, none of the cards which really distinguishes from other versions, but just some good blue cards from across the 20 years of Modern at this point.
The Time Spiral Remastered Thoughtseize is really fantastic, right? That's the Time Spiral reboot, right?
It is, yeah. Using the original lore in art, but just mixing all of the time streams together there. Wade, in the meantime, is going to fetch the Steam Vents after losing that iteration to the Thoughtseize. Not really a surprise to see the iteration go. This is a grindy matchup, as people like to say, and so you know that card is going to be good for two more cards over the course of the game. Makes sense to take that. That said, you know, when you see Snapcaster, Archmage's Charm, all of those potential 2-for-1s as well. So you see the kind of issue that Yang is up against there.
Ren 6 coming down here for Yang. Another one of the legacy ban cards. This is, you know, power level insane. I'd like to see some more land destruction coming in for, and subtlety coming off of the Izzet Control player Wade's.
Yeah, this is a trend you see in a lot of these control decks recently is main deck subtlety, and with Lorien Revealed as actually one of the breakout cards from Lord of the Rings, that pads your blue card count, gives you enough cards to enable that. The issue you see here in a control deck, though, is, yeah, you cast subtlety on that thing, it goes right back to the top, and they can try it again next turn. We'll see if Yang goes for it again right here. Thoughtseize again now from Yang. Going to see that same Archmage's Charm. Looks like, is that the sketch art dress down there on the right? And a third card there. Going to lose Archmage's Charm, and we'll see if Yang just wants to jam out this Ren 6 again, or Tarmogoyf. That works as well here, and that one is going to be pretty sizable. We see two Thoughtseizes, the Archmage's Charm, the Subtlety, so that is a 4-5, and it's not going to stop there. It's only going to get bigger.
The pace of play of these two players is impressive. I am
Yeah, I would assume once you have a fully foiled out Jund deck, you've been playing Jund for a few years, you've got a lot of those basic play patterns down at this stage. This is a control deck, less of an established creature, but, you know, Wade seems pretty confident in his play as well. Going to see the dress down, just shrinking that Tarmogoyf, and Lightning Bolt going to finish it off. So an interesting 1-2 punch, allowing the damage-based removal to actually finish off what otherwise would be a much too big Tarmogoyf.
Absolutely. Dress down, one of the cards undervalued from Modern Horizons on foil, but really just fantastic.
Yeah, Hall of Storm Giants there from Wade. Nice little finisher you can work into your mana base. And Urza Saga filling similar role there from Yang. And Gigantha, the kind of free companion, which mostly an afterthought. Like, Gigantha is never your main plan, but hey, in a matchup like this, it's an 8th card, which they have to do something about. And you see that one going to eat a Flame of Anor, I believe, from Wade.
And I'm glad you had that one. That was not on my radar. Wade sitting here, having just utilized the dress down to take care of Tarmogoyf. It's kind of punished seeing the Urza Saga being a really clean answer to the two construct tokens. And Honorog's got it up on screen. Flame of Anor it is. Wow.
Yeah, and Yang going for first construct there, I assume the second one too. And dress down, a pretty valuable card for these reactive blue decks, just as a way to answer Urza Saga, which you can't counterspell that thing, you can't discard it, can't really interact with it in many other ways, and so you need some way to actually keep up with the Saga and dress down, killing both the constructs and drawing a card. Nice way to do that. But the cards will keep flowing here for Yang, because the artifact popping off that third chapter is Mishra's Research Desk. So that's going to find another card, and then come back from the graveyard via Unearth and find yet another card after that. So Yang really moving ahead in that axis there.
Wow, and a lightning bolt from Wade, really keeping his life total high. The threat answers that he's put forth so far have been incredible. Still at 19, only one. Oh, making a liar out of me. Now at 18, trying to keep up with where we are.
We now do have 6 mana there to activate Hall of Storm Giants at any time. So you often see in the game states like this, both players just kind of staring at each other because you can't attack into the Hall, but then the control player doesn't want to activate the Hall, attack with it, you know, take the shields down, take all that mana down. So could see the staring contest here, but Hall rumbling and just getting aggressive. I mean, it is a 2-turn clock at this stage, so it does make some sense. And yeah, I'm going to use the Research Desk now. I'm going to find a beautiful Lightning Bolt and a beautiful Blood Crypt, of course, as well.
It looks like some flavor choices from Wade as well. White bordered, I'm not sure if to intentionally tilt or just as a flavor or call out to the artists.
Maybe he just likes him. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt there. Now the board kind of empty. We see another Urza Saga, but that one's going to need a few turns to do its thing. And on at least one of those turns that Hall may be attacking, luckily for Yang, has picked up that Terminate as a nice answer, which going to have to pay the hefty ward cost for Hall of Storm Giants, but has enough mana to do that. And then Yang will be the one, once the dust settles, with that threat left over.
Yeah, Wade getting in and getting aggressive looked pretty good. The Terminate's going to pay off dividends, and Urza Saga is going to kind of tilt my favor meter. What is it? The
advantage bar. There we go.
Advantage. Thank you.
I'm going to create a construct token at the turn.
Yeah, reaching for that construct token again.
This is going to go to 3.
And I assume again in just a second here. Is that 2 Sagas in the mana base? Yeah, so these are a steady procession of Urza Saga constructs. We found the Research Desk already. That one's chilling in the graveyard, ready to go again. Now we can fetch, I think, anything from Nile Spellbomb to, yeah, there we go, just fizzling a potential Snapcaster Mage. Shadow Spear, I imagine, lined up for the next one.
Yeah, if he needs it. Wade really kind of hoping to
Go to
I
attack.
don't know if he's got another dress down coming, but
15 to 10 is what I have.
any card
correct?
selection would be much appreciated. On top of the foiled out gun deck, I do love those constructs. The Don Quixote windmill.
Yeah, that's fine.
Really,
They are pretty, yeah. So Flame Venor drawing 2 cards, and you see Wade, I think, Silent Desperation, right? You could use the flame to kill one of the constructs, but that's a losing proposition when there's already another one there, a few more on the way. You have to find something that really changes the terms of engagement. Could be another dress down, could be something else, but not many cards that fit that description at this point, and does not look like he has found one of those.
Construct.
does have another Archmage's Charm to potentially steal a construct token,
Response to chat.
just to chump block with, but a removal and chump block might be worth the 2 cards. See what he does with that here.
And I think for Yang, he knows this game is his unless there's a dress down. And so I think you'll see some decisions just trying to hedge against that possibility, cutting off the one route that Wade has most clearly to win the game.
There you go. You have 3 cards.
Correct.
Okay, so you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Take a peek.
Options running.
Ooh, excellent. All right. I wasn't sure if he was going to try and crack Spellbomb for a Thoughtseize, but trying to clear the way here from Wade. Looks like a Force of Negation in hand, so we'll see if he values the additional play or...
I think there's just no reason to at this point, right? Like you have the win on board effectively. You don't want to enable a Snapcaster Mage out of nowhere that could do some damage. So we can just chill and force Wade to have the right answer here at the right time.
Yeah, no, the Thoughtseize in hand is better than the Thoughtseize on top, so
Counter it. Okay.
looks like it does take a counter from Wade. Counter spell, not Force of Negation. The fun altar.
Dash Dragon in.
Ooh, and a Dash Dragavan coming in from Yang.
Yeah.
Go to combat.
Adding insult to injury here. So there is an Archmage's Charm which could steal the Ragavan or steal one of the construct tokens, shrinking all the others in the process. You will have to do that now if you want to have a blocker for one of the others, so Yang can then make attacks with that in mind. But yeah, we're going to see that one of the constructs switching sides, but Wade has nothing else. That's just the 1/1. So everything else, those 2 constructs can afford to rumble in. Ragavan going to stay back, just doesn't want to trade with that construct just yet. Wade going to take 5, and Ragavan is going to bounce back at the end here.
Oh, you're up. Fine.
I think considering Spellbomb activation there on the upkeep, in case Wade drew Snapcaster, but again, I think can afford to just sit back on it for the time being. Also, you want to have those constructs be as big as possible, and Spellbomb is the difference between it's a 4/4 versus a 5/5.
That's
You see one issue here for these reactive decks in general, but specifically in Modern right now, you do have to answer basically everything in this 1-for-1 basis. And when you have Urza Saga, Research Desk, all these cards generating even more cards, you can imagine if Yang draws a Ren and 6, let's say, gets a Saga back, and now 2 additional threats there. It's just really hard to actually deal with everything in the long term.
go to combat.
Yeah, another Saga and Ragavan coming off the top. That Unholy Heat just doesn't look like it's going to get Wade there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So he can answer one,
With
he
delirium.
can
Yeah.
ignore the
Response to
other.
that. I'm gonna exile Mouse Bob. I'm targeting you.
Yeah,
Oh,
does that
wow.
happen on Resolve?
Heads
Yeah,
up
it
play
will
here
check
from
it.
Yang in response to the Unholy Heat, taking
That's
Delirium
fun.
away from Wade.
Yeah.
Also ensures that,
Oh,
yeah, so if there's a Snapcaster in response here, there's not actually anything useful right now for it to target, I believe. And then by the time this resolves, the heat will be too small. So, yeah, I think just a little conversation at the table, double checking exactly what the timing is here, how big everything's going to be. The spell bomb is, the spell bomb is used and everything shrinks a little bit. And then if one construct dies, that has this cascading effect on the others. So just double checking the exact math here.
And it will check on resolution, I believe. So I think that Yang is
Target you.
played this quite well. Oh man,
We're good.
what a great game! What a great line.
Place Snapcaster Mage and target Lightning Bolt.
Sure.
And then Bolted as well.
Bolted as well. Okay, so this is on the stack.
Okay, so Snapcaster Lightning Bolt.
I'm gonna pay the black. To
And
draw
it
card.
does shrink, so it will wind up eating one.
Yeah. So is this the resolve already then?
So we got to see here. So right now there's 5 artifacts, even after the spell bomb is
This will
used.
deal 2 when they kill it, correct?
That one's taking 2.
You may. So, we think for a second you're at 10, correct?
And yeah, Lightning Bolt finished it off. So 2 plus 3 there. So yeah, had to use 2 removal spells, and I guess half of a Snapcaster Mage to kill 1, and now the Snapcaster just has to Charm Block still over here.
So
We do get a Ragavan hit in, it looks like.
Get the
Okay,
treasure
so you
for
take
the
3 down
remaining
to 2.
constructs.
Oh no, okay. So going down to 3 instead, trading off with the Ragavan, and so now very precarious life total, but have dealt with 1 threat. But that Renin 6 is going to be yet another massive problem if Ray doesn't have an answer. So Ray just been making a valiant effort, but has been swimming upstream for the past few turns. Finally packs it in. Going to be moving on to game 2 here.
I think I'd like to see Yang put the Shadow Sphere on the construct token to insulate it from that dress down, being Wade's primary out if we can. So
Yeah, good practice there on the whole. As things played out, finding that Renin 6 means even if there was a dress down there at the end, Renin 6 resolving, buying back Saga would just present the same threat turn after turn, but we faded that, moving on to game 2 here, and as we said, we don't have the deck list here for either players. This is a closeless event, and even though in some cases we can look at some of the details, we can't actually talk about those here definitively, but we can talk about the kind of cards that you expect to see here on average. So from the Jun side, more discard I think is good. If you have more of these sticky threats that dodge counter spells or line up well against stuff like Bolt and Unholy Heat, you're going to want those. And then from the Izzet control side, there's this debate over, well, do you have these narrowly targeted answers to Urza Saga, which is such a big deal, but if you have some Alpine Moon or something just for that card, you're still going to get beat down by Ragavan into Tarmogoyf, and that moon's going to look pretty embarrassing. So if you have those narrow answers, this is a classic control question of how much you want to lean on those.
I think an Alpine Moon I'm not necessarily bringing in, but it did look like Wade had a number of basic islands in play. So I would bet to see a Blood Moon style effect coming in. Jund and Dates of Yore used to run Blood Moon, but it looks like that's a pretty powerful card against the way that Yang has his mana base set up.
And with that in mind, you want to build your Jund deck to be able to function still under a Blood Moon. So Ragavan is nice for that, of course, but even just being able to fetch a basic at some point. If it's Forest, it unlocks Tarmogoyf Renin 6. If it's a Swamp, it unlocks all of your black spells. So want to be able to give yourself some play there. And of course, Gigantha, if the game goes long enough and neither player's doing anything, red 5/5 might actually get the job done.
Go through some sideboarding now. Yang snuck that Gigantha in on me. I did not see him pull it. The pace of play and just the prowess of being able to handle your cards that well is something that I'm not on. I know that you've got a little bit more paper experience than me lately, but with all of the online tournaments and COVID, I am rusty when it comes to paper play. So.
And in paper, there's, I think Modern especially, or Legacy as well, like your usual stomping grounds, there's a lot of these paper operations like shuffling for fetch hands and so on, which, yeah, you could tell the first tournaments back as they started coming back a year or two ago, like people were rusty on that, and a lot of rounds went longer than they maybe should have, just given that lack of experience recently.
Oh yeah,
I was actually kind of looking for like how to play against her in the future. That would be kind of funny.
that'd be pretty cool. I think
In the land hate
happened
meta, I
on
always
SCG
do
days
like choke,
where
and I don't think that we'll see it out of Yang.
or one of them
But
hated, like,
man,
their wife.
anytime you
played
can
against
Fiance, yeah.
get
was
ahead
it
of a
pretty-
blue deck
later rounds.
that
So.
Yeah.
choke, spoil, tsunamis, that is my language.
Yeah, we haven't seen choke in modern much since the Mystic Sanctuary days, and so that's almost a good problem to have for the blue decks if you're doing well enough that people are having to put sideboard choke against you. Not the world we live in right now, but people like Wade doing their best to bring us back there.
That would be a fun place. Actually, the old choke versus amulet titan strategies were also really fun.
All right, good luck.
Good luck as well.
Okay, both players drawing the opening sevens here. We're going to be on the play, and it's kind of almost flippant to say, yeah, play versus draw matters in this matchup because it always does to some extent, but when you see all of Yang's cheap cards, Tome and Ragavan on the play versus the draw, big difference there, of course. Urza Saga, if that's a threat by your turn 3 versus their turn 3, there's a big difference there too, so Wade's going to have a little bit more breathing room as long as he can keep up with everything here. And Yang looking at a somewhat disjointed hand with 2 Sagas, Ragavan, Duress, and so on, but it looks like the only other colored source for the moment is that Beseiju.
Spellbomb. Right.
Spellbomb does give him more looks at future colored sources, and he might decide the plan for the short term is, I'm just going to sit back on these Sagas and force you to do something about them. And on the way out, the Saga can find a card like Springleaf Drum, Mishra's Research Desk, to unlock that colored mana on the back end.
These Sagas, when they hit, will be big, coming in at 3/3, 4/4, 5/5 right off the bat. So getting it for 5 with training Sagas is going to be great. Another land would really... Ooh, cycles away the Pyrite Spellbomb here.
Chapter 2.
Yeah, I think doesn't want to be using the other Saga as that third land if he can help it. This is not a deck which has a ton of artifacts you see in Legacy, right, with artifact lands, Mox Open, and so on. Some of the Saga decks there, they have just 30 or 40 artifacts, and so their constructs are gigantic all the time. Some of these Saga decks, you have a smattering of artifacts here and there, but the constructs by themselves, not that big. So Yang drawing, 2 spell bombs here is actually going to juice him up a little bit.
Does find that third land to get full value out of the second Saga
17.
instead of having to cash it in for making a Saga from the original. Looks like some good card selection, long game stuff coming in from Wade. I do not have eyes on Dressed Out, which will swing this matchup quite heavily if...
This is interesting. So Yang could have just sat back on the Saga here, foregoing a turn of activations to jam the Tarmogoyf for this turn,
5.
which, interesting choice. I guess he can follow this up with a Ragavan or something, or he could have actually proceeded this with the Duress if he was keen to force this through. So, wondering if this Tarmogoyf is a bait spell almost.
Bait spell indeed. There's an Inquisition from Yang here.
And maybe the thought process is, with these Sagas, I care most about cards like Blood Moon, Dress Down, and so on. So I almost want the Tarmogoyf to get countered so that I can then Duress or Inquisition the thing that I actually care about.
No red mana here from Wade.
I'll take the
No, but Wade's draw is a little awkward in its own right. So gonna actually take one of the red cards here, or one of the modal cards. I think that's a Charm or a Flame of Venor, really putting us to the test in the booth here.
Yeah, it looks
Leave
like
the
Flame of
Archmage's
Venor,
Charm.
that little triangle on the bottom looks Universes Beyond.
18.
Ooh, Wade finds the red source, unlocking those 2 expressive iterations.
Yep.
Yeah, although you never love to use iteration when you firstly can't really cast any of your cheap spells. Like if he finds an Unholy Heat, there's nothing to heat yet, and also you've made your land drop for the turn. So at best, this is one of those really bad sorcery speed cantrips. You see Scalding Tarn just sadly getting shuffled over to the exile zone there.
Yeah, Anticipate was still a fine card.
Yeah, I mean, we have Impulse now and we're happy about it, but if you want that, there's a lot of options you have to choose between.
Looks like a pause in the draw step here from Yang. Renin 6, the draw.
And yeah, he's got a tough choice now too of do you activate a construct, but then you're using that colored mana that you have for the turn, or do you decide, yeah, I want to get the maximum value here out of that Saga while I still can. At the same time, the shields are kind of down from Wade's side, right? Only one blue mana open. So this might be the turn to try and resolve one of those premier threats if you can.
I'm thinking
Oh,
about
yeah,
chapter
well, yeah. That's what I meant.
I'm thinking about this chapter 3.
Wade holding on to that subtlety
Just
that
wanted to hear this.
Yang should know about.
So it's a tough one. Upgrade construct.
A lot of time, the 300 or 3,000 foot view, you get a better perspective of what's going on. And I am glad I'm not on that table right now. I'm not sure what the right decision is here. And Yang with his reps will yield to his preference.
Chapter 1. I'm gonna
There's that second Saga.
filter a black mana.
Is that a chromatic sphere?
That's what it looked like.
Fascinating.
And
Okay.
I was I was not going to say it because that couldn't have been right. And he cracks it, draws a card, and casts his duress. Wow.
Done.
Yeah, well, he gets to do it all then. So yeah, I like that choice, both to put that card in the deck and also to get it here. And this John Saga deck, right, the Sagas themselves can clash with just how many cheap colored spells you have. If you have that Saga, right, it's hard to cast a Renaissance sometimes, or hard to cast a Thoughtseize and a Tarmogoyf or something in the same turn. And having this card, which is an artifact, so you get it with Saga, boosts your Tarmogoyf and so on, but also just smooths all that out, that's a really nice addition there.
Very much so. Many times, Moxen being the tutor up for vintage or snap for another EI here.
I think I would let this one go if I was Yang. Again, this is one of those weaker iterations that's just an anticipate, and if you crack it now, you don't get the card draw effect on the back end. The construct gets a little bit smaller, so I think I would have held off there for now. But Yang decides to pop it off.
I think I'm with you.
I would say
I like drawing cards, and I think that just the card advantage of getting the second draw versus my opponent getting to anticipate is fine in my brain.
And here's Renin 6. So here you see that subtlety issue again, where you can put this back on top, and Yang's just going to draw it again next turn. So has to let it resolve. It's going to deal with the Sackmaster Mage, and leaving the contract back so that Wade can't flash in the other one as the Ambush Viper to finish that one off. But now, Yang just has it all going on. This Saga's going to pop off. The Renin 6 is going to buy it back straight away. So yeah, Yang really in his lane here.
Doing well, neglecting to make 2 construct tokens for the Tarmogoyf and the Renin 6, and still putting together a really serious front.
Yeah, another Nile Spellbomb coming off that Saga, which maybe makes more sense then if you plan to get the second one, why you would use the first one at the first opportunity.
Renin 6, rebuy Saga, I love it.
13 and 15, is that right?
That's one of those interactions that you see those two cards together, you want to put those in a deck somewhere, but it's kind of hard to find a place actually, because a lot of the Renin 6 decks can't play Saga and vice versa, and this is that narrow sliver of the Venn diagram where you do actually see them overlap.
Subtly coming in for nothing just to clear out a red. For nothing. For no ETB trigger. Clearing out the red. All of the Storm Giants in for Wade.
Go to combat. Attack for 6.
Makes a construct here before combat. This is a 2-turn clock.
It is. I think he wants to leave himself less exposed to Dress Down right now, or something like Engineered Explosives if Wade has that in his deck. And, you know, with the end of turn activation and then the activation again, it's still going to be a 2-turn clock, effectively. So I think Yang can afford to play it a little bit slow here.
You see a Sagavan coming in. Wade intent on casting his third. Is that a pre-order?
Yes, so preordering going to get exiled. Something else going to the hand. So we finally get 2 spells off one of these. Or 2 cards at least. But again, Wade is going to need quite specific answers to keep up in the game, let alone have a chance of winning it.
The value engine with the sagas, the red, everything that Yang has done so far has been fantastic. Ooh, Murktide, not good enough here. To where Izzet is really having a hard time stabilizing. Step 1 has to be dressed down, unless there's a Hercules. That doesn't seem
So you have 4 in hand, 1 is snap.
Yeah, it's a sign of where this game is going that that Murktide could be a 2-mana 6/6, 7/7 hit, and that's not enough. That's not actually going to help him. So has to dig for something very specific. We can see he's not going to find it, and I think Yang is going to learn that and be quite happy about it in just a second here.
They're going to be 4/4s currently, right?
Yeah, currently 4/4s. Yeah.
that is dressed down there. Wade's found it.
Oh, he has. Okay. All right. Well, the game continues.
Full colors.
All right.
Resolve search.
Yeah, and you see that hedge that we spoke about last game of, if Wade needs to dress down, if he has it, there's no actual use making a construct here, right? So instead, we're going to leave all this mana accessible this turn to rebuild up for that dress down if it's there.
Yep, one floating mana and the Shadow Spear. Put the Shadow Spear on the construct, kind of forces Wade's hand, or means that he has to leave a construct back, giving Yang the knowledge before attacks.
Go to combat.
I think just going to put it on the... Yeah, I think, if there is a dress down, Wade has to use it, so you may as well put it on the thing which you're going to put it on afterwards. Going to trade off the Subtlety with the Sagavan. Now Renaissance, demanding some kind of free answer. But yeah, the Saga's coming back. And now Wade is going to need maybe something like a Blood Moon, right? To permanently nullify the Sagas, or this is just going to keep happening to him. Tarmogoyf here as well on this turn. There we go. I suppose it's for 2 actually here would be a nice start at least for crawling back in this one.
Yeah, 70.
Do you have eyes on explosives? That would be impressive against the Saga deck. I suppose if you've got it, bring it in.
Absolutely. I don't see it here, but just trying to think about how this game could drag on for much longer.
Yeah.
Cycles Lorem revealed. Looks like the Lightning Bolt in hand. I'm not seeing.
Snapcast race results.
My Saga plays are more practiced than my Izzet control plays. So.
I'm going to exile your Graveyard in response to the target. So
Yeah, don't even care what it's targeting. I know I'm going to eat it, so may as well do that now. And that's actually going to shrink the Tarmogoyf a little bit.
I'll fire off any position.
Although still at 6/7 it looks like, so even if there was an Unholy Heat in response or something, would not have been a window to take the Goyf down.
I would take counter spell. Equip Shadow Spear.
Playing with Nora and Lightning Bolt, not enough to get the job done. Yang takes it down in 2.
Yeah, so a convincing performance there again from Yang, who has really put on a clinic with this deck on stream. And Jund is a deck which I know a lot of people long for the old days of Modern, right? Where it's Jund against something. And this Jund deck is changed a bit over the years. You see a lot of these MH1, MH2 cards. I imagine some Orcish Bowmasters and stuff hanging out in there too. But at the end of the day, this is the same Jund recipe that a lot of people have loved playing in Modern for years. And so if you're someone who has those Jund cards in the box somewhere, this might be the way to go. And